The college sport industry generates $11 billion in annual revenues. 50 colleges report annual revenues that exceed $50 million. Meanwhile, 5 colleges report annual revenues that exceed $100 million. The NCAA recently sold broadcast rights to its annual men's basketball tournament for an upwards of $770 million per season. And the Big Ten Conference has launched its own TV network that sells airtime to sponsors during the broadcast of its football and men's basketball games. Now that I've got your attention, wouldn't you like to know where that money goes? These college sports revenues are passed down to NCAA executives, athletic directors, and coaches in the forms of salaries. Now, the argument is, shouldn't college athletes receive some of this money? No, they shouldn't. The foundation and basic idea of college athletics is that the athletes are amateurs. The NCAA president says that first and foremost, the participants in college athletics have to be full-time students at their universities participating in sport. And second, that they are amateurs, and that they are not professionals. Former college athletes have filed lawsuits against the NCAA, stopping them from using their likeness or image in advertising and merchandise. In court testimony, the NCAA president said, lifting restrictions barring student athletes from prospering from college athletics would not only strike the NCAA core values, but lead to unfair competition among member schools and conferences, driving teams out of Division I and killing the fan base. He continues to say, now you've moved into the realm where you are compensating a student athlete for someone other than being a student. You've moved into pay to play, meaning any benefit above and beyond the cost of being a student crosses the line. This could lead to student athletes being paid for endorsements. In other words, they are getting paid for endorsements, not in college as a student who is learning. This moves them into professional status and goes against the foundation of amateur athletes. As it stands now, the benefits of a student athlete receives are all related to student expenses and their costs. Some say that student athletes bring billions to universities and colleges but receive nothing for themselves. Well, that just isn't true. Student athletes receive scholarships including free tuition, free housing, free books, free food, free tutoring, and even free transportation to and from games. They even benefit from coaching, training, game experience, and media exposure. Another reason student athletes should not be paid is because student athletics are governed by the NCAA, so any solution would have to be applied to all of the students. Although every athlete isn't worth the same to a university, they still have to be treated equally by the NCAA. For example, say you have a U of M quarterback and a U of M women's fencing player. They would both have to be paid the same amount of money, except they are not worth the same. People pay more money to see big players, and the football games are televised, which generates more money for the school and increases school attendance and the profile for a school. On the other hand, women's fencing at U of M doesn't generate the same amount of money. The people who are arguing that college athletes should be paid are really focusing on a small group of elite male athletes who will probably enter the pros after graduating, sign a contract, and earn millions of dollars, while the rest of the students will graduate college with a degree, try to get a job, so that they can start paying off their massive student loan debt. So, why should one college athlete be treated better than the other? College athletes also already have a benefit of having teachers make allowances and special rules for them, such as extended due dates, how long they have to complete an assignment, the number of absences and tardiness, they grade easier, and scheduling benefits. In many situations, being a student athlete is a choice. As someone who was a student athlete, I made the choice to quit playing soccer so that I could focus on completing a nursing degree. The real reason majority of student athletes are in college is to get an education and not go to the pros. So say college athletes were to get paid. Then the question is, where does this money come from? Out of 332 schools currently competing in the NCAA's Division I, fewer than a dozen have athletic departments that are profitable. And that of the 120 programs that are comprised of the football bowl subdivision, just 14 are profitable. That means some 88% of the top football programs lose money for their university. And that doesn't even include the reams of cash schools are spending on the so-called non-revenue sports. Now, one might argue that being a student athlete is a full-time job and that they can't work during the season to make money. But what about all the other students who aren't athletes? They are broke too. Every student is effectively broke. Although non-athletes have the time to work a job, they also have student loans and don't benefit from free tuition through scholarship. On an average, a full 1D scholarship is $25,000 per year, equaling to $100,000 all 4 years. 71% of graduates last year had a student loan debt with an average of $29,400 per year. From 2008 to 2012, debt at graduation increased with an average of 6% each year. So, why should one student athlete be treated better than any other student who the student athletes are already benefiting from so much more?
Can I show you this?